Etude number 25 deals with a particular rhythmic figure that is encountered in many pieces in the cello repertoire and also in chamber music in orchestra. So it's very good to establish now how mechanically we deal with it, so we have the clarity, precision that would make it successful. Two things come to mind. One of them is the need to have the bow always pressed before we start any group of two notes throughout the entire etude. The second thing is to actually obey the written rests. That bit of silence is what also adds to the precision and the specificity of this particular rhythm. I like to make it a bit more spicy by slightly making it almost double dotted. First nasty challenge regarding combination of this rhythm and string crossings comes up soon now in bar number 6 and also in bar number 8. I'm going to play once in tempo bar number 6, 7 and 8 and then discuss it slowly. The challenge is to not engage the string that doesn't need to be played, in this case the D string. So when I practice slowly, I focus on two things. First of all, the left hand needs to have both of the quick notes pressed before the bow arrives, because it's too fast for us to think at high speed about these notes individually. The second thing is that my string crossing actually will be so quick and light that it will not engage the middle string. So slowly, I'll show you what I mean. I on purpose don't overpress because that might engage by accident the middle string. So I give a good bite to the first note, but I do not sustain the bow while I cross. The next similar challenge comes up in bar number 21 and 22, where the same kind of advice applies. The bow should always be with a good grip on the string before we start any group of two notes, and the silence is to be obeyed. A different challenge happens a few bars later in bars 27 and 28, where it's an issue of big leaps that we have on the left hand and how important it is to have the left hand always go early before the bow arrives. The next challenge would be very similar to what we did at the beginning of the etude. Again, string crossing, the silences, the bow being pressed, and that happens again in bar number 39, 40, 41. It's always with different notes in the left hand, but the principles are very similar. So we should always make sure that we have that little bit of silence between each group of two notes. To me, the trickiest one happens near the end, where we have the same kind of challenge, but the combination of notes and strings to be crossed, to me, makes it a bit more uncomfortable. That happens in bar 54, 55, 56. And the very last small detail is for the 4 pizzicato chords at the end. I find it here as well beneficial to always go first with the left hand before the right arm arrives. In effect, we are playing with two different speeds. One hand, especially the left hand, or often the left hand, will be first and the bow will always arrive later to maintain the best clarity level. And that happens not only here, but in general in cello technique, where good coordination depends on the left hand being slightly earlier than the bow.